Okay, today we're going to be doing notes number 3, multiplying real numbers, so copy that in the topic area. Today should be 9/2, so make sure you put the date, make sure you put your class period, and make sure you put your name up there because a lot of you didn't do that on your first notes. And then I wrote our essential question, which is how do you multiply real numbers using a calculator? So I'll give you just a few seconds to copy this down so far. Make sure for your notes you copy everything that is written so that you get 100 for your notes. So make sure you do this because I will check your notes just as soon as you're done. If you have it correct, I'll give you 100 and then hand you the worksheet. So make sure you copy everything down correctly the way that it is written. You may use pens, you may use color, highlighters, any of those items that you prefer. I do notes with different colors and variety, and I do use highlighters off and on as well. Do have your calculator ready too. Okay, our first goal that we are working on is finding the product. Product, remember, is the same thing as multiplication. Same thing as multiplying. That's just another word for it. So we're looking for the product of a set of numbers. Alright, our example 1 is I'm going to put 10 parentheses negative 9 and I'm going to close the parentheses. Remember, we do have parentheses on our calculators, which is the same thing as a multiply. So if I type this in my calculator, whoops, sorry. If I type this in the calculator, it looks in this fashion, and you push enter. You might be able to do that in your head. If not, then you have the calculator to use it. This comes out to be negative 90. I'm going to highlight this because this is my answer. And we can see it clearly. Okay, example 2 is going to be 2.5 parentheses negative 8, close your parentheses and put the equal sign. This time we have a decimal in our problem. Remember, the decimal is located at the bottom of your calculator next to the negative. We're going to type this in. Remember, if you want to clear your screen of what was there, then you push the clear button. So I have 2.6 parentheses negative 8 and close your parentheses. Remember, your parentheses were located above the 8 and the 9. You're opening your closed parentheses. And then to push enter, the enter is my equal sign. And this comes out to be negative 20.8 is my final answer, and I'm going to highlight that. Alright, I'm going to go to example 3, and they change it up a little bit. The expression is a negative 1/2 parentheses 28. You want to know what this equals. Do remember that this 1/2 is a fraction, but in the calculator it's the same thing as just pushing the divide button. So if I was actually typing in the buttons, this would be a negative 1, and then I would push the actual divide button, and then I'd have the 2, and then I would depress the open parentheses, the 2, the 8, and then the close parentheses. Oops, let me slide that over. So these are all the buttons that I'm going to press on my calculator. Negative 1 divided by 2. Notice when I push the divide, it looks like a fraction. Then parentheses 2, 8, and close your parentheses. So I have them all there. Push enter, and I have negative 14 as my answer. So I'm going to highlight this. Okay, let me go to example 4. And on example 4, just trying to make the difficulty level a little bit higher. This gives you negative 6 times 4 times 7 over 2. So realize this 6 in the front, this sign here is a negative. It's not a subtract. That is a negative. And then this fraction is the same thing as a divide. Alright, I'm going to go through using these keys that I've used before. I'm going to type in negative 6, parentheses 4, close your parentheses. I do have to open up another set of parentheses for the third number. And then I'm going to push 7 divided by 2 and close your parenthesis. Push enter so we can get our answer. And this comes out to equal negative 84. Okay, I'm going to draw zigzag lines here because we're going to change just slightly. In the next section, we have the word evaluate. So let me write this down. You too. Copy this down. Alright, this says we're going to evaluate the expression when x is 3 and y is 4.1. This word evaluate, we've got to know what that means we are doing. So if I'm looking at this, the word evaluate, and also if I tie in my next expression that they give me, which is x plus 2y, and I also see that they have given me that x is 3 and y is 4.1. What am I going to do with that x and that y with this expression? Well, hopefully you answered it, because with those two expressions I'm going to replace what they actually equal. So once I replace this in, this x changed to a 3 plus, and this 2 and this y together means this is actually a multiplication, so the same thing as putting parentheses around it. I'm going to have 2 parentheses and then 4.1. And I kind of wrote that inside the other one, which is bad. Let me write that, but I'll leave that for now. Once I have it replaced, now I'm looking at this word evaluate. This looks like what we had above. So I'm actually going to just put these in my calculator and find out what it equals. So that basically this evaluate is the same thing as find the answer, and it could also mean solve. I want to type this in. So I'm going to type 3 plus 2 parentheses, then I have 4.1, close your parentheses, and enter. Okay, when I enter, okay, I end up with 11.2 for my answer. If I go to number 6 now, I have x, y minus 10.1 the x and y together, this is the same thing as a multiply. Same thing as putting a dot or parentheses around it, showing that these two items are being multiplied together. So when I replace it in my problem, that means I'm going to have 3 times the y, which is 4.1, close my parentheses, and then I'm going to subtract 10.1. Alright, type that in your calculator. Let's see if we match. Okay, if I push enter, I came out with 2.2. And if you did not get 2.2, look back at your problem and see if you missed a decimal or a parentheses, or make sure that this was a subtract and not a negative. Alright, last example, number 7. This has a 5.2x minus y. So I'm going to take the x value, that was a 3, and do 5.2 parentheses 3. I'm just always going to put what I replace in parentheses, minus the y, which is 4.1. Alright, put this in your calculator and see if we match. Alright, when I type mine in, I came out with 11.5. If you match the same as what I had, draw yourself a smiley face showing me that you got it correct. If not, then correct it. Okay, this is our notes. This bottom section is our summary. In the summary section, you are to answer, how do you multiply real numbers using calculators? So I want you to answer this question. Raise your hand and I'll give you your worksheet.